Good morning, dear friends, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship at Stony Brook. All of us here in the sanctuary welcome you who are joining us online. Let's all wave to the folks through the camera on your left. I welcome you who are here in our sanctuary and all who are attending virtually, wherever you may be this morning. My name is Wendy Engelhardt, and I am happy to be your worship associate this morning. Our interim minister is the Reverend Dr. Madelyn Campbell, and our director of religious education is Deb Little. Please plan to join us after the service for coffee and conversation. For those of us who are online, if you sign off after the service and return to our website, you'll find the link for joining our small group chats. Whether you are here or online, you will find some friendly folks who can answer any questions you may have. Now, please help create an atmosphere of connectedness and spirituality by taking a moment to silence any and all electronic devices.
Come, enter into this space made holy by our presence. Enter into this hour made holy by our intention. Come young, come old souls and young at heart. Come as you are. We are one together. Let us enter in and worship together.
I have asked Sarah Lutterby and her granddaughters Lily Dillon and Eliana Dillon to come light our chalice this morning. The flaming chalice is the symbol of Unitarian Universalism. We kindle the flame of our faith in the cup of our covenant. Our chalice lighting words this morning is a haiku by Latrice Gresham. Different eras possess contrary beliefs, inform each other. I invite you to rise, embody your spirit, and join in singing our first hymn this morning, number 1023 in the Teal hymnal, Building Bridges.
And our musicians are going to play it through once for us, because I understand it might be new to some of you, and we can sing this in a round, so we're gonna try that if you want to, okay? And if you don't want to, just keep singing how it was.
Now it's time for the tale of all ages. Multiple award-winning artist R. Gregory Christie has brought Bill Withers' iconic song, Grandma's Hands, written about his beloved grandmother, Lulu Carter Galloway, to life in this beautiful picture book. I'll have it here for anyone who wants to take a look later. Perhaps you have a grandma or an aunt, or perhaps an unrelated elder who brought light and love to your life. Or maybe it's you who are bringing that light and love to someone, like Bill's grandma did for him. Grandma's hands clapped in church on Sunday morning. Grandma's hands played the tambourine so well. Grandma's hands used to issue out a warning. She'd say, "Baby, don't you run so fast. Might fall on a piece of glass. Might be snakes there in that grass." Grandma's hands. Grandma's hands soothed the local unwed mother. Grandma's hands used to ache, sometimes, and swell. Grandma's hands used to lift her face and tell her, she'd say, "Baby, Grandma understands that you really love that man. Put yourself in Jesus' hands." Grandma's hands. Grandma's hands used to hand me a piece of candy. Grandma's hands picked me up each time I fell. Grandma's hands, boy, they really came in handy. She'd say, "Maddie, don't you whip that boy. What do you want to spank him for? He didn't drop no apple core." But I don't have Grandma anymore. If I get to heaven, I'll look for Grandma's hands. Now, I invite our RE educators and their students to gather at the hall door. As they do, we can all turn to the Reeb Children's Benediction, which you'll find on the inside back cover of any hymnal, and join together to sing to our children. Now it's our time for meditation. Following our meditation in word, we will sit in silence for a minute, and then we will sing hymn number 123, Spirit of Life. You might wish to open your hymnal to that page now and hold it on your lap. Our meditation this morning is a poem by Donna Ashworth from her collection entitled, I Wish I Knew. This is anti-aging. Anti-aging creams, pills, and potions, anti-aging masks, scrubs, and lotions. Put them on your skin to smooth away the years, pat around your eyes and your neck up to your ears. And don't forget those hands, they will give the game away. They show the years you've toiled, so they must be hid away. Keep your body trim and skin must stay elastic. If you've worshipped too much sun, you can always add some plastic. But don't look too worked on, because that's not seen as right. Your youth should be all natural. You must fight the aging fight. Or you could just go get older. Show the lines this life has carved, the years you laughed and lived, the years you did not starve. Aging is not something that we women should avoid. It's a gift of time and years that not all of us get to enjoy. And Mother Nature knows the beauty of the years. She paints us all with love. If only we can see there's wisdom in these wrinkles, there's starlight in our hair, there's evidence of growth and love, the stories we can share. So join me in our aging. Let's love the skin we're in, protect it, feed it, help it, sure, but let the aging win. Because here's a little secret. If you want to look alive, acceptance of your journey will see your body thrive.
Kids, I don't know what's wrong with these kids today. Kids who can understand anything they say. Kids, they're disobedient, disrespectful oafs, noisy, crazy, dirty, lazy loafers. While we're on subject, kids, you can talk and talk till your face is blue. Kids, but they still do just what they want to do. Why can't they be like we were? Perfect in every way. What's the matter with kids today? You are right here, that's right. And do you know that song, what generation that song is about? No, that song is about mostly the grandparents in here. That's from the show Bye Bye Birdie, which was written and which came out in 1963. That was 61 years ago, friends. Those teenagers from 1963 are in their 70s and 80s now, right? Right? I can do math in my head. Late 70s, early 80s. I was a year old in 1963. That song isn't even about me, and I am a grandparent. Beloveds, generations not understanding other generations has gone on for generations, for all time. It wasn't new in 1963. Ancient Greeks wrote about these kids. They ruin everything. Right, Socrates did. I'd like to share a poem that I wrote with you. This is a poem I wrote in 2017. It was first published on my blog. You can go looking for my blog, but I haven't written anything for years on my blog. It's the Widow's Mighty blog. And then it was later shared on via UU World on the UU World website. And this is generation to generation. Oh, before I read the poem, you ready for a Hebrew lesson? Okay. Dor vidor. We translate that as generation to generation. Literally, the v is either and, is probably and, generation, but it's dor vidor, generation to generation. Passover is coming up. It's important in Passover. We talk about dor vidor, and in Scripture we see it all the time, and in Jewish prayers. So generation to generation. This poem is generation to generation. If you're a year older than someone, you can be friends. You can even be best friends. Or if you're not friends, you can lord it over them like a perpetual sophomore. You know better. You've been there before. You know the ropes. If you're 3 years older than someone, you can be wiser. You can nod your head knowingly because the younger ones are so much smaller and younger. And they have no idea what they're in for. But you know, and they will look up to you because you are on top of the world now, and you can, for a while, forget that the ones who are 3 years older than you look at you the same way. If you're 10 years older than someone, you can babysit for them. They might be adorable or perhaps a pest. But you will be the caretaker, and you will remember things that they do not. You were there, and they weren't. Or else, they were just little babies, and they cannot possibly remember. And even when you are old, this will still be true. If you're a generation older than someone, you can shake your head and say, these kids today. In the Bible, 40 years is a generation, a long time. Styles will change. You can say that you had it tougher. You can say they're ruining everything, and you can look to the generation before you and you can shake your head because you know that they just don't get it. They never did get it, and they never will. You know that your generation is the right one. And you can forget, if you want to, that you are connected to the generation before you and the generation after you, and that every generation, door to door, has said the same things about your generation and every generation that has ever gone before. Oh my goodness, you are quite right. I just skipped right over the anthem, didn't I? I steamrolled right over that. So this is a good place to stop and have that, and then we'll do sermon part 2. And I apologize to the tech deck there.
Look at this stuff, isn't it neat? Wouldn't you think my collection's complete? Wouldn't you think I'm the girl who has everything? Look at this trove, treasures untold. How many wonders can one cavern hold? Looking around here you think, sure, she's got everything. I've got gadgets and gizmos aplenty. I've got who's its and what's its galore. You want thingamabobs? I got 20. But who cares? No big deal. I want more. I want to be where the people are. I want to wanna see them dancing, walking around on those, what do you call them? Oh, feet. Flipping your feet, you don't get too far. Legs are required for jumping, dancing, strolling along down a, what's that word again? Street. Up where they walk, up where they run, up where they stay all day in the sun, wandering free. Wish I could be part of that world. What would I give if I could live out of these waters? What would I pay to spend a day warm on the sand? Bench on land, they understand that they don't reprimand their daughters. Bright young women, sick of swimming, ready to stand and ready to know what the people know. Asking my questions and get some answers. What's a fire and why does it, what's the word, burn? When's it my turn? Wouldn't I love to explore the shore above? Out of the sea, wish I could be part of that world.
Thank you. That was lovely. And we have a couple of songs today that involve like growing up, exploring, reaching out. One of the reasons I think that we have difficulty communicating generation to generation, and we throw up our hands and say, oh kids, is because part of maturing, part of reaching adulthood is that part where we have to rebel a little bit, right? We have to move away from our parents and we don't necessarily have to move away, like move out, especially these days when nobody can afford to do that, but we have to have some separation. We have to come into our own. If we were birds, our parents might push us out of the nest and we'd fly away, right? This happens throughout creation. We have to spread our own wings and figure out what we're capable of and meet the world on our own terms. And for parents and grandparents who might have had a vision when we were born of exactly how our life was going to turn out. Do you know people who've had their lives planned out by their parents and then they follow those rules and are often very miserable, right? So why did you go to medical school? Well, my parents expected it. but do you like being a physician? No. Okay. It's not for everybody. I picked medical school. It could be one of thousands of things, right? But that's not the only difference among generations. And one of the reasons I think that we have a hard time understanding each other is the environment that we grow up in. I mean the whole environment, the world, the gestalt of the world, everything that's going on in the world at any given time. So I have some generation information from you. I took this from a website, caregiversofamerica.com. And this outlines what years the generations are and gives you a little background as to what was the backdrop of their growing up. The greatest generation, born 1901 to 1927. These folks were indelibly impacted by the Great Depression, which molded their children in regards to frugality. This group was also representative of the majority of soldiers in World War II. If still with us, these folks are between the ages of 98 and 121. I haven't done the math. I don't remember what exactly this was printed, but you get the picture. And these folks molded by the Great Depression, this was my grandparents, my grandfather who never threw out a used up Bic pen because you might need it for something. Could I ever find a pen with ink in it in his apartment? No, I could not, because right? The next generation is the silent generation. I know we have some silence here. The silent generation was born between 1928 and 1945. Those born between these years are actually the smallest group due to the consequences from the Great Depression and World War II. Between the size of the population and the hesitancy to speak out against social issues due to the McCarthy era of government, they earned their name. And this was in 2022, so, okay, in 2022, people in this group were between 77 and 97. Do we have any greatest generation folks in here? Oh, I don't think we do. And you're not required to, but I invite you, if you are part of the silent generation, to raise your hand. Look, we have a fair number of silents here. Okay. Not to be confused with the silence from Doctor Who. That's a whole different, yeah, okay. And then we come to the baby boomers, born between 1946 and 1964. Baby boomers, along with millennials, are one of the most misunderstood and mislabeled groups of the entire list. Countless internet jokes and videos of young people saying, "Okay, boomer," in referencing an older person not understanding the modern world and how it works. The baby boomers are actually one of the most relevant groups in modern society, as they were integral and present for many of the technology advances of the last 50 years. They've been more adaptable to modern growth and learning how to function in today's technological age. Boomers are currently between the ages of 60 and 78. Boomers, you want to? Generation X, born between 1965 and 1980, as with baby boomers, Gen Xers are the most relevant generation of modern times. In relation to technology, and that is in relation to technology, and they serve almost as a bridge from older populations to younger ones. They were present for the inception of the internet, video games, artificial intelligence, and is the population that has created many of those advances. This group of folks is currently between the ages of 45 and 59, who are our X-ers. We got a good chunk of X-ers here, yeah. Now I'll say more, I am not quoting right now. I'll say more about cuspers. There are cuspers between every generation, and the cuspers between the boomers and the X-ers, I'm a cusper, you know, if you're in the last few years of one, the first couple of years of one, the cusp between the boomers and Xers, we're the Jonesers. And is anybody else here a Joneser besides me? A couple of yeah, we're the Jonesers. And when you're on the cusp, so any of these are like, yeah, that's true, but I don't really fit in with them. Like, some of it depends on the age of your siblings and the age of your parents and whom you went to school with, right? So like, officially I'm a boomer, but so I identify with some boomer things, but a lot of Xer things. You know what I mean? Okay. Back to, from the website. Millennials, born between 1981 and 1996. As mentioned, alongside of Gen Xers, millennials are greatly misunderstood and often mislabeled. Older folks can tend to blame someone younger for being a millennial when they don't understand the value of older times and hold the same views as they did when they were young. It's quite common to hear someone use the term millennial to refer to people in their 20s, although true millennials are between the ages of 30 and 44. Who are our millennials here? Look at it, and all sitting, oh, Chris, you'd be sitting back with the rest of them too, right? If you weren't singing later. Okay, yeah, we got lots of millennials here. Gen Z. Gen Z is born between 1996 and 2012. This group of younger people is an interesting one. They have been exposed to social media and were the first population to cope with cyberbullying and other internet-related issues. It was also during this time that school-related violence and climate crisis have become much more prevalent and widely known in art, right? This large group of people are between the ages of 12 and 29. Who are the Gen Zers here? Yep, look at that. Okay, we got a few. And then there's Gen Alpha. Born between 2013 and 2025, we're guessing, right? Like that's maybe, it might go on a little bit longer. These are the youngest people in the United States and are the first group to be born in the 21st century. They are the first generation to be born to parents who grew up with the internet, cell phones, tablets, and social media. They are also inclined to be the most racially diverse and the most technologically adept. And the oldest people in this group are about 11. Okay? And we have one here, or two, yeah, three. 3 Gen Alphas. So, it's not just that we have continual different needs and different outlooks as we age. That is a constant, right? Those of us who are older Xers, Jonesers, boomers, and silents, we have concerns that we didn't have in our 20s. Every time I wake up in the morning, every part of my body reminds me that I am not 20. Am I alone in this? Probably not, yeah. When I was in my 40s, now I got my first pair of readers when I was 12 years old, but I really only had to use them when my eyes were really tired. And in my 40s was when I noticed that they started using much smaller fonts on the pill bottles. I'm sure that's what it was, right? And I had to use them to read almost all the time, and my optometrist said, "Welcome to middle age." Oh. Yeah. Now, beloveds, I wouldn't change my age for anything. I got to watch Neil Armstrong step on the moon, the first human to step on the moon, on July 20th, 1969. I can tell you where I was sitting in our living room, on the floor in front of the sofa, because, you know. My baby brother wasn't going to be born for 8 more days. I wouldn't trade that memory for anything. I know how to use a rotary phone. I know the pain of dialing the movie theater over and over and over again to find out what the times were, and then you'd hit the 9 and your finger slips out of the hole and you have to start all over again. Oh, right? And things do move really fast, don't they? My father of blessed memory, who was a silent, he was born in 1928. Is that a silent, or that's a silent, right? he once visited my 31-year-old, so my millennial daughter's kindergarten class, and sat and told these children tales of when he was young and their jaws were on the floor as he explained to them, we didn't have television. What did you watch? We went outside and played stickball. Right? I grew up with television. My millennial daughter effectively grew up. Well, I have a lot of children, and they span some generations. My millennial daughter, she grew up with internet. She doesn't really remember a time before cell phones. I mean, they'd been out, but they weren't widely available, right? So the things that we grow up with shape us. And we kind of expect everybody to understand all the things that we understand, but people can't do that. I hope never know. Well, I certainly won't know what it is to be a young adult, a young parent, in a time when there was 25% unemployment. When the social safety net was only just getting started. I grew up with the Vietnam War on television. I assumed that there was just always a war and we were always at war. I think that was a correct assumption, actually. That was the first war that was broadcast on TV. Not as it was happening, but every day we would see what was happening from the correspondence, it would be edited. But younger generations are growing up with world events in real time. How many folks here have any sort of social media account? That's most of the room. There used to be this thing called Twitter. Sort of. It still exists, sort of. It's called X, and it's a very dangerous place to be these days. But back when it was Twitter, this Twitter thing was instrumental in the Arab Spring. And I remember a General Assembly where our moderator encouraged us all to get on Twitter. And I was in the ministry and I thought, well, if I'm going to connect to people, I have to learn what all these other people are doing. And so I got on Twitter and I really liked it. And my cats had their own account on Twitter too. They had a lot to say. They're not on Instagram yet, but and the technology changes very fast. So it can be hard to keep up. And so it's easy to dismiss if it's hard to learn, if it's hard to keep up. I don't know what these kids are doing. But remember, your parents and your grandparents said the same thing about you. My parents and grandparents who bemoaned the use of ain't. Ain't isn't a word. It ain't not a word. Language changes. New words show up. Otherwise, we'd all speaking as if we were in like the 13th century, right? So it can be hard to keep up, and when we try to keep up, we tend to dismiss. It can also be hard to understand what came before. And so when we don't understand, and we don't take the time to understand, it can also be hard to dismiss. Okay, boomer. But how rich a world will we have if we do take a moment to stop and wonder, instead of thinking, ugh, I know and I have all the answers, to say, I wonder what's made that individual think that way. I wonder what I can learn from that person. And not just how to unlock your phone. Who has a younger person that they go to for technology things? I know there's more. I know there's more of you out there, yes. I mean, I feel like I'm reasonably tech savvy, and there are younger people I turn to for tech help. And I learn new things every day. Who here learns something new every day? I hope that's every hand. Oh, yes. So let us give thanks for the generations who have come before, because we wouldn't have all these things if we weren't standing on their shoulders. We have any technology today, any of the computerized technology today, thanks to Ada Lovelace. If you know who Ada Lovelace is, yes. Who really invented the first computer. And she was a Victorian woman. We wouldn't have internet at all if it weren't for Hedy Lamarr. Hedy Lamarr, the actress, you bet. And she was a greatest generation person. So if Hedy Lamarr were still around today, well, first of all, she'd be really old. But if she were still around today, maybe she wouldn't instantly know how to use Instagram. But should we mock her for that? Or show her how it works? And if it's not her cup of tea, then we say, all right, all right. It can be hard to roll with the times, but let us remember we have always done that. Let us honor those who came before, and let us respect and recognize those who come after, because, beloveds, my generation is not the only right generation. The generation you were born into is the right generation for you. But all of us together make the beloved community. All of us together can learn from someone else. So here's your homework for this week. Here's your homework for this week. This week, I want you to talk to someone, you can do it at coffee hour today, from a different generation from you. And as you've seen, we have all the generations in here, right? Talk to someone from a different generation and find one thing that you have in common and one thing that you can learn from each other. Can we do that? Yeah, and you at home too. Everyone gets to do that this week. And we will learn to communicate and build the beloved community together. Beloveds, namaste.
At each service, it is our spiritual practice to receive an offering which we share with a local organization working for a more just future. This April, we will once again honor Earth Day by sharing our plate with the Brookhaven Landfill Action and Remediation Group, better known as BLARG. For the past few years, this congregation has partnered with BLARG to support their efforts to expose, stop, and rectify the harm done to the surrounding, mostly poor communities of color surrounding the surrounding the town of Brookhaven landfill. Our past support has helped BLARG to organize a community garden in North Bellport, start a community composting program, develop their website, and most of all, to advocate on the town, state, and federal levels for the closure and cleanup of the landfill, and the development of a sustainable plan for waste management on Long Island. Let's do our part by supporting their tireless work. Reduce, reuse, recycle, and also, please, give generously. You may make your gifts in the plate or online. For those online, the link to donate is in the comments. Your gifts will be gratefully received and used well.
When we were kids in the backyard, playing astronauts and rock stars, no one told us to stop it, called us unrealistic. Then suddenly you're 18, go to college for your plan B. What you want is too risky, live for weekends and whiskey. We all got these big ideas, one day they're replaced with fears. How did we get here? Darling, don't quit your daydream. It's your life that you're making. It ain't big enough if it doesn't scare the hell out of you. If it makes you nervous, it's probably worth it. Why save it for sleep when you could be living your daydream? 31 waiting tables, she has the voice of an angel. Out of money and power, she only sings in the shower. We all these things we say will get to, shut down by the reasons not to. Darling, don't quit your daydream. It's your life that you're making. It ain't big enough if it doesn't scare the hell out of you. If it makes you nervous, it's probably worth it. Why save it for sleep when you could be living your daydream? So scared of failure that we failed to try, turning around before the finish line. Could fall for a minute before you can fly. So daydream. It's your life that you're making. It ain't big enough if it doesn't scare the hell out of you. If it makes you nervous, it's probably worth it. Why save it for sleep when you could be living your daydream? Why save it for sleep when you should be living your daydream?
That was a lovely offering. Thank you, Chris. Will you join me in dedicating our offering? The words are in your order of service. To the work of our faith, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action, we dedicate our lives and these our offerings. Amen. I invite you to rise in body or spirit and join in singing our final hymn, number 110, Come Children of Tomorrow. can stay standing if you wish. Beloveds, go in peace, go in love, go connected to all who have gone before and all who come after. Go always in the footsteps of the holy. Amen. And now, we extinguish our chalice flame. For our worship has ended, and our service begins. I invite you to wave goodbye to the folks at home through the camera on your left.
I'm 15 for a moment, caught in between 10 and 20, and I'm just dreaming, counting the ways to where you are. I'm 22 for a moment, she feels better than ever, and we're on fire, making our way back from Mars. 15, there's still time for you, time to buy and time to lose. 15, there's never a wish better than this, when you've only got 100 years to live. I'm 33 for a moment, still the man, but you see I'm of age, a kid on the way, a family on my mind. I'm 45 for a moment, the sea is high and I'm heading into a crisis, chasing the years of my life. 15, there's still time for you, time to buy and time to lose yourself within a morning star. 15, I'm all right with you. 15, there's never a wish better than this, when you've only got 100 years to live. Time goes by, suddenly you're wise, another blink of an eye. 67 is gone, the sun is getting high, we're moving on. I'm 99 for a moment, dying for just another moment, and I'm just dreaming, counting the ways to where you are. 15, there's still time for you. 22, I feel it too. 33, you're on your way. Every day is a new day. 15, there's still time for you. Time to buy and time to choose. Hey, 15, there's never a wish better than this, when you've only got 100 years to live.